Liver. Ooh, I had to do that. Alligator. Not had alligator.
Pickled pig's feet. My mother loves them.
Ugh. Anchovies. I noticed nobody said Doughgirls. Delicious, right? They are here. They provided the food. I think if we clap loud enough, they will hear us. All right, we are streaming. Fantastic. Hello, live stream folks. I just asked everybody, in case you missed it, what you would absolutely not eat. What's your favorite day of the week? Friday. Monday up front. Any day I'm not working. No. Today. Give her a gold star. What's your favorite month of the year? October. May. December. July. September, April. Are these all your birth months? Well, then, September. What was your favorite subject in school? Recess. No. Oh, I heard lunch. English. Shout out to math. Creative writing. For those of you who do not know me, I taught high school math for 5 years in my first career. Ooh, I'm afraid to ask this one. What was your least favorite? If you had a warning label, what would it say? Thy shall not try me today. Do not engage until after 10 a.m. Not a morning person, are we? Some people say not until I've had coffee, but you've got a specific time. Okay. My roommate in college used to say, just don't even. Just let her be. She'll get awake. She will unfold. What did you want to be when you were 10 years old? An actress. A baseball player, Terry Bolton. Amy Grant. An astronaut, Tony. But you shot for the stars and look what you have. A home run. Yes, sir. Anyone else? 10 years old. A veterinarian. I was going to be a pediatrician. Yeah. Going to be a teacher. All right. Well, more of that to come. What a great morning, and what an even anticipating great afternoon we are going to have. So you've heard part of the story. I'm putting my cards away because I know you all want to steal them. Goodness. I knew we needed to get Tony A. Biles back going. I was just hoping that we could do this in person. But what in the world were we going to do? And Connie sent out the email. I didn't get to go. But Terry Bolton and Betty Anna Bremer went. Not long after that, Greg Hathaway pulled the directors together, and it was early in the meeting that Terry and Betty Anna started sharing what they had experienced the first time they saw the documentary. I was sitting beside Betty Anna, probably about this close. I could feel it. I could feel it. I could feel the presence that documentary made on Betty Anna. And something along the lines, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to do this, and let's see what we can get done. That convinced me. All right, I need to start working on this. I need to see how I get a hold of these people. And basically just typed in all the lonely people. In your packet, there is a resource page that is from their website. It's the one of Eleanor Rigby's face, if you can kind of parse it out. Just has a list on there, but down at the very, very bottom, I think it was the third one on the left, down at the bottom is the website. They are the Clowder group, and they are fantastic to work with. But they also have great resources. I think you noticed one of the professionals that they talked to was from the Uplift Project. I copied from that resource one of their documents and copied it and put it in your resource just so that you could see the quality of some of the resources that you can link to. Someone is texting me. Oh, thank you, Sharon. In that conversation, we do a chaplain grand rounds through CMC that Greg is in charge of. And from that conversation, Greg, was it not, that led us to this book, Together, The Healing Power of Human Connection in a Sometimes Lonely World? Dr. Vivek H. Murthy wrote this book. We are going through it chapter by chapter. So today, I have asked Betty Anna Bremer, who is our Director of Spiritual Care and Education of Behavioral Health Sciences.
Behavioral
Services. I want to make it a science because I'm math directed. Of Behavioral Health Services. She is going to share with us chapter 6 from this book. And it is our joy and pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you for having the courage to speak about how important and how impactful the documentary was to you. That led us to today.
Thank you.
I'm at this point going to take the mic to Gil, who at the end, if you have a question and answer time, he'll be able to wrangle the mic.
Thank you, Angela. I'm all wired up here. I have a long history of complicated relationships with microphones. The very first time I ever had to wear one of these wireless gigs, I was on a church platform, and I was having trouble turning the microphone on, so I say to the crowd, just a moment, I'm trying to get turned on. That was also their response. And I made it worse because I said, oh, no, I mean the microphone, which, of course, made it worse. So anyhow, here we are, microphone and all. But thank you, Angela, for the invitation to be here and be a part of this day. And Tony Biles, thank you so much for your vision and your passion for our area clergy, your heart for them, and the legacy that you're leaving for us in all of this. So thank you. I want to begin with a little mindfulness exercise. It's as much for me as it is for you right now. So I want to invite you to take a deep breath in and let it out slow. One more time, a deep breath in. Let it out slow. And in this space, I want you to bring to mind all of those faces of people that have spoke love to you and who have loved you into this moment. I want you to feel the warmth of their words, the depth of their kindness and their compassion as they valued you. I want you to allow that to touch you deep within. Maybe some of those voices belong to people that are sitting in this very room. Hear their words. A deep breath in. Let it out slow. Thank you. Dr. Vivek Murthy, the author of our book that we've been reading for Grand Rounds, offers that loneliness is actually a public health crisis. That's sort of the foundation of the work that he's doing. He's addressing it he's the 19th Surgeon General of the United States, and he addresses this idea of loneliness from the perspective that it is a public health crisis. He says, during my years caring for patients, the most common condition I saw was not heart disease or diabetes, it was loneliness. We certainly heard a lot about loneliness in our presentation this morning and the ways that it impacts our health and our sense of well-being. I know in the work that I do in behavioral health, we are indeed in the midst of that post-pandemic crisis of mental health in our country and our community. And our patients that get admitted to our hospitals come to us much sicker than they were prior to the pandemic. So we see this disconnection and loneliness in our community and the ways in which it has impacted the mental health of our community, and definitely that contributes then to our physical health as we are mind, body, and spirit. Folks, we're all connected. I want to share with you some statistics. Next slide. Americans are lonely people. So this is loneliness by the numbers, if you will. Nearly half of Americans report sometimes or always feeling alone. 46% feel left out. 1 in 4 Americans rarely or never feel as though there are people who really understand them. 2 in 5 Americans sometimes or always feel that their relationships are not meaningful and that they are isolated from others. 1 in 5 report that they rarely or never feel close to people or feel like there are people they can talk to. And only around half of Americans have meaningful in-person social interactions, such as having an extended conversation with a friend or spending quality time with family on a daily basis. Only half of Americans. To me, those are some profound statistics that really wake us up to the depth of this concern of loneliness within our communities. Can you guess which generation is the most lonely? Any thoughts? Our Gen Zers, our 18 to 25-year-olds, are reported to be the most lonely generation. These statistics come from a report done by Cigna Health where they engaged about 20,000 people to talk in a survey regarding loneliness, and these are their results. It gives me great pause to think that our 18 to 25-year-olds, literally the future of our world, are the most lonely group. The greatest generation report to be a little less lonely, which surprises me as they're aging. But I think over time, maybe they have learned how to adapt and how to make connections. And our 18 to 25-year-olds just came through this pandemic where they lived in isolation. And they really struggle. I see this a lot in our adolescents that come to my hospital. They really struggle knowing how to engage in human conversation and human interaction. I want to bring it home a little bit. Next slide. Clergy are really lonely people. Now, it might be a little difficult to see those numbers on the board, so ministry challenges, this was a survey done by Barna in 2022, ministry challenges by pastors who have considered quitting. Now, there's this old joke in the circles that I'm in that says that most pastors like to quit on Monday morning. I think that this is a statistic that goes beyond Monday morning, and this is something that they have sat with for some time, and they're experiencing burnout and sincerely considering quitting. And it is of note to me that the second highest ministry challenge that is listed is they feel lonely and isolated. Now, this makes sense to me. I've been living with a pastor for 38 years now, and it makes sense to me that loneliness is a big part of that pastoral family role. Oftentimes, clergy members are serving far away from their families, and they're kind of on the outside looking in regard to their communities. It can be really difficult to make those deep, heartfelt connections in your congregations and in your communities. Next slide. Ministry challenges by pastors who have not considered quitting. So they're feeling some things, but they haven't gotten ready to throw in the towel just yet. And for them, the third highest ministry challenge is feeling lonely and isolated. It felt important to me to highlight those numbers for you today since I'm in a room full of clergy and community leaders. If for no other reason, to give pause to kind of checking within to see where you sit with that and if it rings true for you. Next slide. I really love this little girl here. Isn't she completely adorable? Look at that amazing smile. She's so excited. And those little chubby legs, don't you just want to squeeze them? I mean, she's just so cute. So that's me, by the way. That's me. What this picture does not show is also her great resilience. What it doesn't show is this chaos in which she was birthed into. I am an adult survivor of profound childhood trauma. My father was an alcoholic and he was a rager. My mom suffered from mental illness, and that piece within her, that part of her, that mental illness part of her, led her into relationship after relationship, one more abusive than the next. And we were caught up in all of that. And so what I know about trauma, I know a lot about trauma, but what I know about trauma is that one of the trauma responses from childhood trauma leads to adult loneliness. Children start becoming lonely. They have no friends or they withdraw from social interactions. Trauma leaves them feeling like they don't know how to make connections and they don't trust relationships around them. They don't trust the community in which they live. They don't trust their schoolmates on the playground. There's an extra anxiety that folks who've experienced, that I experienced in childhood. This difficulty in making connections and making deep relationships plagued me throughout my life. I was marked by this trauma, and it informed my loneliness. And I would often withdraw over and over again just to get away from the anxiety of having to engage with people. One of the things that drove my mother crazy when we were growing up is that she was very extroverted and very social. And so she would have these big parties. I was very introverted and not social. In fact, it terrified me. And the more people that would come into our house, the more anxious I would become. And so I would go hide in a closet with my book and my flashlight, and I would sit there in the closet, and I would be reading my book, and then she'd come find me. She goes, "What is wrong with you? What are you doing? Why are you here in this closet?" So I learned ways of self-protection, ways of disconnecting from that community around me. Next slide. So loneliness is when we are socially disconnected. I think someone earlier brought up that their pastor had used the term socially disconnect or socially isolating. So loneliness happens when we're socially disconnected. We feel unknown, invisible. It obscures our inner strengths and value we have to offer, the meaning of our own lives and the source of joy and wonder that would normally leave us feeling connected to the universe around us. We forget what we love and neglect self-compassion and self-acceptance. External influences that impact loneliness: social media. For me, social media is kind of it's not negative or positive, it's neutral. I use social media, not a lot of it. I use Facebook, but I use Facebook. And I do that because I really enjoy seeing family pictures and staying connected with my old classmates, and it just feels good to have that sort of feeling of connection and being able to see what's happening in the world, in my family's lives. So I really enjoy that. But social media can also be the place where we feel like we should have hundreds of friends and have a constant schedule of dates, trips, parties, and accomplishments. I know that when I've done something great, I like to go on social media and post a picture and say, "Hey, this was great," or "We saw this really great thing," or "We went on this great vacation." And it can give the illusion that everything's great all the time. And if your life isn't great all the time, you can feel much more disconnected. Social norms is another external influence around ambition. One of the cultural myths that we have out there is that the more we criticize ourselves, the more motivated we are to do better. This leads to hypervigilance of loneliness. It magnifies our weaknesses, discounts our strengths, and distrusts our natural instincts. Our inner critic is strengthened. So if you go to the grocery store, there'll be magazine covers, and on the magazine covers, they will tell you 10 different ways to lose weight, 10 different ways to be in great relationships, 10 different ways to have more money. There's all these messages that we're inundated with wherever we go that tells us that we need to be doing more, becoming more, and that we're not enough as we are. And all of those external factors continue to impact this idea of I'm on the outside looking in and I don't belong. Next. This leads us to a false self. Now, part of my story is that because of the chaos in which I was living, I was in 11 different elementary schools by the time I was in the 7th grade. And so what that meant was I had no tools with which to develop deep friendships and maintain those. I hear folks talk about, well, we've been friends since kindergarten, or we've been friends so many years, or they were my neighbor growing up, and that is such a foreign concept to me. I have absolutely no idea what that feels like or what that's like. And so what I did, and what many folks who experience this great loneliness do, is we quickly figure out what we need to do in order to blend in. So I would go to my next school, I would kind of check out the lay of the land, I would try to figure out what the popular kids were doing, what the sporty kids were doing, what the teacher wanted, what my next door desk mate wanted, and I would do everything I could to blend in and live up to those expectations. And in that, it created this false self. I could fake happiness. One of our false selves, and this is one that I was particularly good at, is being the strong, independent woman. I don't have needs. Or I don't have needs that I can't take care of for myself. It's a false self, a false identity. It's toxic self-sufficiency. We don't need to connect. There's also this lure of the distraction of busyness. If I fill my life up with all of these great busy activities, I can protect myself from having to engage in these deeper relationships. Imagine working so hard to blend in and to fit in, when indeed I was created to be unique. I was never intended to blend in, but I worked really hard to blend in so I wouldn't be noticed. This plagued me throughout my life and continues to be a work that I do even now in this moment. And I would, this clinical pastoral education thing that so many of you here in the room have done and some of you are getting ready to do, it was this call to knowing yourself. It was this call to understanding yourself, to self-awareness. And I can remember unit of CPE after unit of CPE and feeling so frustrated because I just wanted somebody to tell me, what do you want me to become so that I can measure up and pass this committee? And I promise you, I will do that and I will blow it out of the water. And folks would not tell me what I needed to become. And it was such a disorienting, difficult experience. And thank God I had really wonderful, life-giving voices speaking into my life. Terry Bolliton was one of those voices who was so beloved to me. Beth Jackson Jordan, David Carl, David Johnson, Greg Hathaway, Daniel Miles, all of these voices spoke into my life and would hold me accountable, would challenge me to get in touch with myself and find out what I needed and who I was. That was the beginning of a very transformative work in my life. One person who I spent the least amount of time with as my educator actually gave me a tool that was probably the one that I continue to use most in my life today. And that was Angela Jansen Keenan. And she came to me one day and she says, hey, there's this class that they're holding out at Mercy about mindfulness, and I really think it would help you. Now, I had no idea what mindfulness was. I was curious why she thought it would help me. And it was, a day off of the clinic to go to Mercy and, do yoga or something. So, so I said, sure, sign me up. And in that class, I learned to listen to my innermost self, which was something that in all of the therapy work that I had done over the years, I had never been gifted with before, this opportunity to listen to my innermost self. Thomas Merton, in The Wisdom of the Desert, offers, what can we gain by sailing to the moon if we are not able to cross the abyss that separates us from ourselves? This is the most important of all voyages of discovery, and without it, all the rest are not only useless, but disastrous. You see, that journey to befriending ourselves. Just saying it out loud like that sounds like a really simple thing. Yeah, I'm going to be my friend. But in reality, there are so many layers that get in the way of hearing ourselves and befriending ourselves, or at least that's been my experience. And as I would be in this class, sitting on this yoga mat, lights dimmed, quiet music playing, being invited to just be still and hear what my innermost self had to say, I would be freaking out. Now, those in the class, they didn't know I was freaking out, but I was freaking out because my innermost self was going, what is this? What are you doing? And then every now and then, something else would kind of bubble up inside of me, and I would feel nauseated to the point that I had to walk out of the room. I'm like, what is wrong? I can't be quiet. I can't be in this. What's wrong with me? I can't do this mindfulness thing right. One day, I decided to sit with it, even if I was nauseated. I'm going to just sit here. I got to know what this is. And it was anger. See, part of befriending ourselves and becoming aware of what's going on inside of us isn't just about, I'm going to go have coffee with myself. It's about really knowing what you're holding deep within. And that anger really scared me. Because I had lots of reasons over the years to be angry, and I had been stuffing it down for a really long time. And I was afraid that if it began to have a voice, it was just going to go all over the place. It was going to get messy. I would be messy. I wasn't comfortable with that at all. What I have discovered is that when I am willing to allow myself to get messy, and to truly hear my innermost self, it is very transformative and healing. And it's only then that I can befriend myself. Because everything else, I'm just feeding that false self. So befriending yourself is really about honestly looking at everything that is within. And when we begin to kind of unlayer that and accept what's there, I could get down to the beauty of what lied deep within me. The goodness, the fullness, the kindness, the beauty that lied deep within my heart could find a way to come out and be present. So how do we do this? Well, how do we get to self-knowledge? Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to create some intentional space. We heard that a lot today, this morning. We heard about being intentional about creating space for relationships to happen, for connections to happen. And that is true if we want to have relationship with ourselves. So self-knowledge requires intentional attention. We have to take a step back. We have to ask ourselves the question, what do you most love? Why? What do you dread? What are you most grateful for? What do you yearn for? What do you long for? And then that ongoing reflection as you sit with yourself, what's coming up? And making space to keep going back to that over and over again, to give voice to that which is coming up, to honor that which is coming up from within you. It's important to note that there are some differences in the way that we maybe get to know ourselves a little bit, and those are different for folks who are introverts and extroverts, how we respond to the world, how we're fed. So one is not better than the other. That's really important to know. Everyone needs meaningful relationships. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, everyone needs meaningful relationships. Extroverts hunger for human company, and they feel lonely if physically isolated for too long. Now, I want you to think about that in terms of probably half the population is an extrovert. I don't know those statistics off the top of my head, but there's a lot of extroverts out there, and they have been isolated away from life-giving, nurturing human connection and relationships. Introverts hunger for one or two close friendships, and they enjoy solitude and feel lonely in a sea of strangers. Now, that might lead you to think that introverts don't get lonely, but that would also not be true. Introverts get very lonely because in their desire for these deep, heartfelt connections with 2 or 3 folks, it's difficult for them to, I think we heard in the video today, just getting up and going out and doing the thing to make those connections can feel like a lot of work for an introvert. It's important to remember that. The other thing is how do we get energized? So my husband and I are both introverts, and that means that at the end of a Sunday morning, we come home and we don't speak to each other. We don't speak to each other not because we don't like each other. We don't speak to each other because we've used all the words we have, and we just don't have any words left. And so we come and we sit down at the lunch table or whatever, and we just stare. Because we're processing all the voices and the conversations and all the handshaking, the congratulations on your baby, and oh, I was so sorry to hear about your loved one. And I mean, all the things that you do in these church relationships. And so we come home and we are spent. My daughter, who's an extrovert, when we're raising her, she goes to church. She's had all these same experiences that we've had. And we come home and we're sitting down staring, and she's like, telling me all about every little interaction she had. And I'm like staring as she's doing all the talking because her energy has just been fed. And she is full because she's had all this human connection and conversation and relationship. And so she is fed. And that's important to know about yourself because it's important to honor that need, whether it is to have lots of social interaction or whether it is to have those spaces to be able to come away and recharge. It's important to know what you need if you're going to know yourself well. So this bridge, this is the Clergy rope bridge. And you will find this in Northern Ireland in Ballintoy. It is 100 feet above the water with no net underneath it, and it's 66 feet long. Now, why is this important to the idea of self-compassion? The person in red is me. And that guy down on the end is my husband. who has absolutely no problem with heights or rope bridges. Me, on the other hand, not so much. And my whole family has crossed this rope bridge. I want to go to the other side and be with them. I'm in Ireland. I'm on an adventure, and I am frozen, literally frozen, holding on, sitting down, can't move. And while I'm in that space, I'm like, Betty Anna, you are so stupid. What a coward you are. What is wrong with you? Look at all these people going up and down this bridge, and here you sit on this bridge frozen. Come on. And the more that was my self-talk, the more frozen I became. Now, my husband and my children, they're all like, Mom, come on, you can do it. You've done scarier things than this. They're like cheering me on. So I want you to hear something. My community is cheering me on. And as my community is cheering me on, I'm able to take some deep breaths. And I'm able to begin to talk to myself a little bit differently. Betty Anna, you do have courage. You can do this. It's okay to be scared, but you can do this. So finally, I get up. I'm holding on to the bridge, and I start walking across. I have no idea that there are all these people behind me, because if I did, I would have told them to get off my bridge. I had no idea they were behind me. My son is taking this picture from somewhere else. And as I'm walking across this bridge very slowly, shaking from head to toe, telling myself I can do it, telling myself that I'm brave, telling myself that I have courage, something begins to break in me and change, and all of a sudden I'm feeling empowered. And I get to the other side of this bridge, and I'm like, I did it. I start crying. I'm so excited. I did this bridge. I did this thing. I did this really, really hard thing. And that can be what it means to break through and to do something big. And to do it in a way that you honor yourself, that you honor the fear, but you honor the courage. See, self-compassion creates a natural bridge between self-knowledge and self-acceptance. Loving kindness towards oneself is the first path leading over that bridge. Loving kindness. I want to invite you to join me in a loving kindness meditation. So once again, I'm going to invite you to get comfortable in your chair. And again, take a deep breath in. Let it out slow. I want to invite you to hold your hand over your heart. And allow yourself to be grateful for your heartbeat, to be grateful for yourself, for you, for the gift of who you are. And I want you to hear these words. May you be held in loving kindness. May you be happy and safe. May you be healthy in body and in mind. May you always have enough. May your heart know peace. A deep breath in. Let it out slow. Now I invite you to say to yourself, may I be held in loving kindness. May I be happy and safe. May I be healthy in body and in mind. May I always have enough. And may my heart know peace. want you to think of others in your life who have loved you and who have valued you. And I want you to hear their voices offering to you. May you be held in loving kindness. May you be happy and safe. May you be healthy in body and in mind. May you always have enough. And may your heart know peace. Take a deep breath in. Let it out slow. I want you to think of those who are in your life that may be difficult to love. Maybe they've wounded you or hurt you. And if you are able, I invite you to offer to them, may you be held in loving kindness. May you be happy and safe. May you be healthy in body and in mind. May you always have enough. And may your heart know peace. Deep breath in. Let it out slow. And then finally, I want you to think about the world around you. Maybe your table mates, the folks sitting around you. Maybe your neighbors, your community, your congregations, your families. I want you to offer for them. May you be held in loving kindness. May you be happy and safe. May you be healthy in body and mind. May you always have enough. And may your heart know peace. Deep breath in. Let it out slow. Thank you. When we offer this to our patients at the hospital, we'll take their blood pressure before the loving kindness meditation. And then we'll lead them through the loving kindness meditation and take it again. And almost always there's some kind of a lowering of blood pressure or heart rate. This is a really healing meditation, and I thank you for joining in with me. But it's a wonderful practice of self-compassion to remind ourselves that we were meant for loving kindness and that we are people of loving kindness, and we have great loving kindness to offer to ourselves and to others. Slide. To relate to the world from the inside out, to begin these healing connections from the inside out, we have to take these moments to pause. These intentional spaces of reflection. That first one up there says, I am grateful. Gratitude is incredibly healing. One of the things that sustained me during COVID was gratitude, was intentionally waking up and finding what I could be thankful for that day. Maybe it was the sun shining, or maybe it was a breeze in the air, or maybe it was my pets or my grandchildren, but there was something to be thankful for. My stepfather, who is in hospice and has been for some time, I think he's going to win the prize for the longest person in hospice ever. He's been in hospice for 3 years. And he tells me that every day that he gets up is a day to be grateful. And for me, that puts it in perspective. Gratitude helps us to see what's there instead of what isn't. I want to say that again. Gratitude helps us to see what's there instead of what isn't. This next one is nature. I love this room. I have always loved this room. And one of the reasons I love this room is because of all the natural light, and you can look out these windows and see the trees and see nature. I love this room. I also love this outdoors. It's a beautiful day. Thank you, God, for this beautiful day. But nature is incredibly healing to our souls. And we need space to be able to appreciate the beauty of nature. So some fun science facts around nature. So contact with dirt. My husband loves gardening, and he's very good at it. He gets his hands in the dirt, and it gets under his fingernails, and I don't know, if I did that, I'd ruin a manicure. But he gets out there, and he gets in the dirt, and he gets his hands in the cold, hard dirt, and he plants things, and they bloom, and they grow, and they don't die, and it's beautiful. My yard is beautiful because he makes it beautiful every year. What I have learned is that soil has a bacteria called Mycobacterium vaccae, I think is how you say it. But it triggers the release of serotonin in your brain. It's a happy chemical. That serotonin is a happy chemical and a natural antidepressant. So dirt, to me, it's so cool that the earth has this natural ability to heal our emotions and to heal our spirits. It's powerful to me. Another wonderful thing to do, actually, Terry Bolliton was the first person that ever told me about it, and then I had to go home and look it up. And it's if you take off your shoes and socks and you stand in the grass. Now, I have to tell you, look at your surroundings before you do that. Last year on vacation, I thought that was a great idea until I had red ants crawling all over my feet and my legs, and I hated that plan after that. But at any rate, check your surroundings, take off your shoes and socks, stand barefoot on the ground, because it helps you to ground with the earth's magnetic field. And the science of reflexology, you know how you massage your feet a particular way, helps other parts of your body. It reduces inflammation, improves mental well-being, improves heart health, and helps you to sleep better by just getting your feet in the grass and on the ground. So the next time you go out, take your shoes and socks off and stand in the grass. Nature has all of these wonderful healing properties to help us to grow stronger and better and have more centered spaces of mental well-being. The beauty of nature is powerful. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Our heart is the next little sign you see here. Dr. Murthy offers in his book that heart operates in two phases. Systole, and systole is where it pumps blood to the vital organs. That's when it's working. It's pumping the blood into the vital organs. And diastole, although I'm probably saying that wrong, and some nurse can correct me, but anyway. And that's when the heart relaxes. Now, one might think that the systole is where the action is, and the more time in this action is better, right? But diastole is the relaxation phase, and this is where the coronary blood vessels fill and supply life-sustaining oxygen to the heart muscle itself. Pausing, it turns out, is what sustains the heart. Pausing is what sustains the heart. How many times have you been in a situation that felt maybe a little overwhelming, but that pause helps you? That pause, that deep breath in. I can get that way at Walmart. You know, standing in line, getting irritated while I'm standing in line. My feet hurt. I didn't want to walk around this place anyway. Now I got to wait in this big, long line because there's never enough cashiers. All the things. And then I can pause. Go back to the breath that God gave me. Breathe it in. Let it out. And remember that I can wait patiently or impatiently, but either way I'm going to wait. So that pause can be really powerful in helping us. And finally, look at this adorable dog. This is my little Gretchen. Now, pet therapy is amazing. I'll just put that out there. But that's not why she's here. Gretchen had a big infection last year, and it left her blind. So she's my adorable blind dog. And they say that when a dog loses one of its senses, the other senses gets heightened. And it's her hearing. And she can hear a car door close from 5 miles away. And what that means at my house is that she will bark at everything all day long. And it drives me nuts because I love this cute, adorable little thing, but she makes me crazy. And I'll hold her in my arms and I'll go, gentle, gentle. And she'll go, ah, 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 gentle. I mean, we do this. What I have found works is music. I say, Alexa, play classical focus. And Alexa plays this beautiful classical music, and she settles down. Her whole body settles into this quiet, peaceful music. There is healing in music, and there is healing in art. And we have to give ourselves space and take intentional time, intentional spaces set aside to allow ourselves to pause long enough to let those things heal our innermost selves. Next slide. Finally, I wanted to share with you this idea that Dr. Murthy offers of awe. You know, that those moments that take our breath away. A few years ago, John and I saw the Grand Canyon, and it was a breathless moment to see the Grand Canyon. It was so magnificent and beautiful. And as the sun moves across the sky, it looks different. It changes from morning to night. Last year, we had the privilege of going to California, and we saw the big redwood forest, and that's what this is. These are those really tall redwood trees. And I was standing under these trees, and there's just no way to capture it in a photo that does it justice, but I was standing just looking at these trees going straight up, and I was in awe. There weren't words to describe the beauty. My body responded to this beauty. I felt my body responding to this beautiful, magnificent thing before me. When my grandchildren were born and I got to hold them for the first time, that awe, that take your breath away moment of awe. What helps you have a sense of awe? What takes your breath away? Fill your life with wonder, with goosebump moments. And the more that we open ourselves up to these wonderful moments of awe and wonder and goodness and kindness and things that take our breath away, the more generous and compassionate we become. There was a study done by Berkeley, and they took 2 groups of people. In one group, they had stand for 1 minute looking at these beautiful old trees. The other group, they had stand for 1 minute and look at a building. And then someone unknown to those who were standing there staring at these beautiful things or at the beautiful trees in the building, someone would walk by and drop a basket of pens. And the ones who had been staring at the trees would turn around and help pick up the pens. And the ones who'd been standing at the building were either reluctant or didn't do it at all to help pick up these pens. 1 minute staring at something beautiful and awe-inspiring generated compassionate energy in these folks. So allowing yourself to have these moments that you take away for yourselves of awe is really healing. And so I encourage you, I invite you to this wonderful work of self-discovery, of self-compassion, of breathing in awe, of pausing for the good things that are with us all around us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Betty Anna. Thank you for your research that you did to share, to say to us, we are lonely people too. And to recognize that. Thank you for that. Thank you for your vulnerability, sharing your story. But also thank you for reminding us to take moments of pause and to look for those things that bring us awe. Many of you know I was outed earlier this morning as an introvert. This is truly a day that I will take a nap. But after that nap, I'm going to go to a play and experience art and awe and refill myself. So I encourage you to do whatever self-care you need in those moments that, as Betty Anna described Walmart, I could feel myself going. Any questions, any comments? I'm so sorry. I got that close. Many of you I see already doing it. If you will take out your evaluation and complete that, place it in the center of the table. I know some of you have said, I will need to leave at such and such time. I need to leave as soon as it's over. We have till 3 o'clock in this room as a group. You know, all those little questions I've been asking you? I have envelopes for your table, should you wish, or those of you that can stay. If you find yourself at a table of one and would like to join in another table, please do that. I'm going to ask Keisha, come on forward. Wendy. Brooke, I'm going to let you rest because you worked last night. Denzel? Denzel, will you come forward, please? If you would like a packet of cards, there aren't that many in there, I promise. Please, please, please ask one of these lovely people in lavender as they are passing these around. For those of you who are live streaming, this will be the end of our live stream. You also have, I sent you the packet. If you will fill out an evaluation and send it back to me via email, I would appreciate it. But first and last, let me say thank you for coming and attending the ninth. This is our 9th Tony A. Biles Clergy Convocation. I hope that after our convocation 3 years ago, when I had fear, but not the really big fear that came upon us for 3 years, thank you so very much, that we will be able to meet back here in this space or whatever space we are to meet in for our 10th Clergy Convocation. I do not have an advance date for you. I will start planning on Monday, but I am going to take a break tomorrow. This will be the end of our program, other than the time that you all spend together getting to know each other. You do have a certificate of attendance in there for the 3.5 hours that this day qualifies for. And I thank you again for being here, being community, and hopefully there has been a spark of connection and some daydreaming that will become a reality of helping ourselves and our community to reconnect after truly 3 years of disconnection. Hold on one second. I think I just got, oh, never mind. It was email, it wasn't text. I was so afraid I was letting my live stream people down, but I'm not. All right. Let the games begin, or those of you that need to leave, please be safe.